Well, good morning. It is wonderful to see you here on this Tuesday morning as we spend a few minutes here on this Tuesday morning to contemplate some of the principles of prosperity. And why is that important? Well, before we get into that, hey, I'm Alan Lucas, and it's so good to see you here as we dive into some of the ideas that we're exploring every day in the science of getting rich here each weekday morning, Monday through Friday, over the next several weeks. I am pulling some of the ideas from this book and then also exploring them, unpacking them, working with them in thought, and then taking them into affirmative prayer and anchoring them into our consciousness, into that field of awareness. And I'm doing this Monday through Friday. And why am I doing this? One, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me. And but also, I want to support you in doing it. I want to bring you along on the journey. I'm teaching a class at New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living in Aurora. And if you are in Aurora, Colorado, on a Sunday morning, come check us out at New Dawn. We're over off of Parker near 225. It's Parker and Peoria. And come and meet some of the most loving people. And as what we say there, wherever you're at on your spiritual path, you are welcome here at New Dawn. So I'm teaching a class called Prosperity Plus on Tuesday nights. Our class actually is this evening, and this is the text, one of the texts in our class. And so I'm taking some time to explore that as we go through this book. And one of the reasons, too, is because why not spend some time contemplating principles of prosperity every day when we're bombarded from outside and even from our own conditioning? We can be bombarded with thoughts of scarcity, lack, and limitation, which is not the truth. So every day, taking some time, it's like magnetizing the needle by exposing it to the magnet and turning it into a magnet by us contemplating principles of prosperity every day. Then we are recalibrating our focus and then aligning it and turning away from lack and limitation and turning it and looking towards the sun. Ernest Holmes, one of my teachers and mentors, and he, and one of my favorite authors, he, in his book, This Thing Called You, he talks about how when we're looking at the sun, we don't see the shadow. When we're looking at the sun and we don't see the shadow, and I realize I didn't put my microphone on here, so let me go ahead and plug it in there so you can maybe possibly hear me better. But so he says, so as long as we are looking at the sun, we do not see.
As long as we're looking at the sun, then we don't see the shadow. But when we're seeing the shadow, then we can be clear that we are not looking at the sun. And in fact, what we're looking at is the obstacle that we have placed in the way. So this is why we contemplate principles of prosperity every day, is to turn away from the shadow and then to look back at the sun. And whatever shadows that may be back there, they're not relevant to us as we are moving forward in the direction of light and of abundance and prosperity. So we're starting today in chapter 5. Chapter 5 in this thing, in the science of getting rich, it is called Increasing Life. Increasing Life. And there are basically two ideas. I'm going to touch on the first one just briefly and then take a few minutes, to talk about the second one. But the first one is, and we've mentioned this in an earlier video, starts right out here. You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a deity whose will it is that you should be poor or whose purposes may be served by keeping you in poverty. He goes on to explain very eloquently, and if you have this book, then read chapter 5 too. If you have any ideas or thoughts around that somehow that you being living a life with less, not enough, living a life of lack and limitation and scarcity does not serve the whole. And so it is really an erroneous belief and idea. And as long as we're agreeing with that idea that there is no truth in, then we are kinking our own hose, so to speak. We're stepping on our own shoelaces. And it's not necessary because that's not the will of life. It's not the will of God that you should be poor. He says the universe desires you to have everything you want to have. And he goes to explain why. And if you're wondering how that can get there, get the book. You can look online for free and get a copy of the PDF. But he says here on page 30, nature is friendly to your plans. What plans do you have? What is the desires in your heart? What are you longing for and wanting to more of in your life, to be, do, and have? Then he says, everything is naturally for you. See, nature's friendly to those plans. Everything is naturally for you. And make up your mind that this is true. Just decide that that's true and begin to live in that way. Which moves us into the second idea that I want us, and we are going to... this idea is going to repeat throughout the book, but he says here on page 32, intelligent substance, another name for God, source, life, nature, the universe, will make things for you, but it will not take away things from someone else and give them to you. You must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. You do not have to take anything away from anyone. You do not have to drive sharp bargains. You do not have to cheat or take advantage. You do not need to let any man work for you for less than he earns. You do not have to covet the property of others or to look at it with wishful eyes. No man has anything for which you cannot have the like, and that without taking what he has away from him. You are, and this is the line here, hold this today, you are to be a creator, not a competitor. You are going to get what you want, but in such a way that when you get it, every other man will have more than he has now. We are living in an abundant universe, in a universe that knows it's all around us. These are the three principles. There is a universe, a thinking substance that is all around us. It is in us, it's through us, it is in the interspaces. It is the substance from which everything is made, and the space between those things. And when a thought is impressed into this thinking substance, it takes that thought and produces it in form, in matching form. Whatever was in thought, it will give it form. And the third principle is that you and I have the ability to think a thought of form and impress it in this substance, and in so doing, this formless substance will clothe that thought and bring it into our manifestation. And so with that idea, we are to be creators, not competitors. Now, what's a competitor? A competitor comes from the idea that we live in a zero-sum universe and there are only so many pieces of pie. I don't know, what kind of pie do you like? Apple pie, pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, pecan pie, cherry pie, blueberry pie. What kind of pie do you like? Whatever your favorite pie is. If to have competitive thinking is to believe that there are only so many pieces of pie in the universe, there's only so much good, there's only so much abundance, there's only so much, and if I don't get mine, then it's either because someone else has taken it from me, someone else has got my pie. So that's not the way the universe works. The way the universe works is through creation. We think a thought, and then this divine substance then begins along the channels that are already established. It begins to bring into manifestation and coalesce everything necessary to clothe that thought into a reality, into physical manifestation. That is creation. Competition is, I need to take from you what you have. I need to lower my prices in order to compete with that business over there. How about creating your own customers? How about creating in consciousness a business where you are asking for what it is that you desire, and you have fans, raving fans and customers and people who are flocking to you regardless of the price. You see, competition comes from an idea of not enough, but that's not the truth. Everything begins first as a thought in mind. So that's why it's creation. So as you approach your life today, as you look at your relationships, as you look at your health and the work that you are doing and the work that you're wanting to create in the world, your time and money freedom, the places you want to travel to, as you ask yourself, what would I love? There might be this part of us that shrinks back into competition and say, oh, I can't do that because I don't know the right people. I don't have the right opportunities. I don't have It's not dependent on you. It is this formless substance that takes the thought of form and brings it into manifestation. Of course, there are things that you need to do in a certain way, and we're unpacking that. But first begins with thinking in a certain way. And the thinking in a certain way is that you are not a competitor. Spirit didn't put you here and all of us onto this playground that we call earth and say, all right, kids, work it out. Here, there's only so much. There's only so much food, and like throwing a bone to a pack of dogs. That is not the nature of life itself. An acorn drops into the ground and the shell cracks and it becomes an oak tree. And from that oak tree, it is a home for more. See, by you being blessed and by you creating the life that is within you and bringing that out into manifestation, you then become a channel for everyone else. When high tide raises all boats. And so by you seeking to create a life that you would love to live, by you co-creating with life and starting first in your mind on what would I love, and focus on the what and the why, and leave the how to the universe. This is the beginning of living as a creator, of acting in a certain way, of not being a competitor. You're not a competitor. Compare you and someone else is to compare apples and oranges. To compare your desires and dreams is to compare apples and oranges, because what you desire is unique to you, unlike anyone else. And so life has to create that for you. So today the thought is to release any idea that there's something out there that is keeping your good from you, or is somehow the world benefits by you playing small or having less. That's not the truth. All boats rise with a high tide. So because you are part of this thinking substance, because you are this thinking substance, then as you think a thought, an image, a thought of form, you imagine something, and as you hold this and it is impressed on that substance, the subconscious, the collective unconscious, subjective mind, whatever you want to call it, as you become convinced of it, as you believe that you've already received it, and you shall, as Jesus said, be a creator. Competition is not how the sons and daughters of God operate in the world in truth. So I'd like to anchor this in prayer for us today. Wherever you're at, if you're able to do so, I invite you to allow your eyes to gently close. And as I speak this word in the first person, just allow these words to filter into your consciousness and allow it to just settle and be received lightly in your heart. These ideas and concepts are just a different idea. You don't have to grasp and, I have to convince myself of this. No, just turn in that direction. Be gentle and easy with yourself. Our old thoughts, our old beliefs are just thoughts that we were exposed to at one time, and then we thought them enough times that we no longer have to be convinced of them. It's automatic. All we're doing is we're now introducing new thoughts that are easy and light. And we're moving in that direction, and we're anchoring it today in prayer. And so as we join together in consciousness here on this Tuesday morning, what I recognize is that God is all that there is. Here I am, right here in front of this video, and speaking to those who are open and ready, who have already said yes to life. Just by them choosing to watch this, what I know is that all that who are connected together in consciousness right here in this moment, we have said yes to life. And our hearts and our minds are open to receive that. And what we receive here this morning is the truth. And it's not even truth has to be received. Truth already is. What is happening right here and this morning as we join together in consciousness is the letting go of what doesn't serve us. So in this space and in this time, what I know here is that there is this thinking substance, call it God, Spirit, life, the universe. It's all around me. It is operating in me and through me. It is me. And in fact, that life, that urge, that is that which is causing my heart to beat, which is causing me to breathe. Life is breathing me. And I know that it is also doing this for each and every individual who is watching this video. It is doing that for all of life. Life is breathing itself through all the many forms that are around us. In me, there is life. In this word that I speak, what I declare and know right now for myself and for everyone, as I say this word, I know that it is true. What is true right here is that Spirit is guiding me and leading me and directing me today. This word is true for each and for every person listening. So what I know is that as we move through our day to day, Spirit is guiding, directing, and leading, because there is only this one thing. It is God. It is Source. And it is an each individual that I say this word for myself here. I am an inlet. I am an outlet for Spirit itself today. I am the place where Spirit is showing up. And because that is true, I know that Spirit is not withholding from itself any good thing. And so today I open my heart and my mind to this truth that Spirit is not withholding anything from itself. And so since that is true of Spirit, it is true for me, it is true for you. Spirit, life, is not withholding anything from me today. And so I say yes to life. I say yes to the life that is easy and free and open with grace and ease. That is what is occurring in my life and in every domain of my life, in my relationships, in my work, in my time and money freedom, in every situation, in every condition. Spirit is not withholding any good. And because that's true, what I know is that there is only good here today in every area of my life. And not that I have to compete with it or try to take it from someone else. My good is already present here today. Spirit always says yes. It is a yes. And I say yes to it as well, as a creator co-creating with Source itself. And so I declare and know for myself and for each and every person listening that any idea or belief or agreement with competition is uprooted and is nullified from my consciousness and from anyone who listens to this treatment, who is in agreement with this treatment. Competition is not the nature of life. Life is seeking to, by every wave on its ocean, by every expression of itself, it is seeking to express and to grow, just like that acorn. An acorn isn't competing. It is simply acting on its nature and allowing life to provide the water, to provide the earth, to provide the air that it needs in order to express fully. And that is what is happening for you and me today. We have said yes, and Spirit is bringing together all the cooperative components. They have already assembled. We are what has shown up here today in this moment by saying yes to that life, to creating a life, to baking a new pie. I'm so grateful this morning. I'm grateful that this is the truth, and I'm grateful that in this truth there is freedom. So I'm grateful for the freedom that I embody here today. And I know that that freedom is all around you and me here today, as the law brings into manifestation good and more good, an ever-increasing amount of good. I allow this to be the truth by saying, and so it is. And so it is. So I am so grateful for the opportunity to have been able to spend time with you this morning. I'm continuing to hold you and me in consciousness throughout this day. There is no competition. Today is a day of creation for creators by creators as we co-create with life itself. So I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video as we continue to explore some of the principles of prosperity, as we continue to deepen our understanding of the truth as we wake up from this trance of scarcity. Peace and love. Namaste.